Hello everybody, thanks for joining me today. I'm Jackie and I create mosaics using sea glass. And today I'm going to talk to you about my sea glass mosaic flower bed, part 5. So this is my final video in a series of videos about all the steps involved in creating a sea glass mosaic. And the sea glass mosaic that I've done for this series is this flower bed. So I started at the beginning, showed you everything from finishing the frame to getting the piece started, doing the design, adding all the sea glass, creating the flowers, all of the different steps that I've done. And if you want to see more details on that, you can watch the previous 4 videos. So since last week, I've filled in all of the white sea glass. So today I wanted to tell you about what you need to do for the finishing steps. So what I did was, after I got all the white filled in, the first thing I did was I took the mosaic and I stood it up against the wall and I had a look at it. So the first thing I would notice is if I've missed gluing on any pieces, they would fall off. And then the other thing that I like to do is take a really good look at the piece to see if there's any gaps where I just feel like, okay, I need another little piece of sea glass here or there, or it just doesn't fill in quite right. So to see if there's any adjustments that I need to make. And the third thing that I like to do when I stand back and look at my piece is to take a look at what's missing. So I'll see if there are any little details that I need to add. So in this case, I did add some rocks, a few rocks and shells towards the bottom of the piece, just to add a little bit more detail. Just to draw a person in a little bit closer and have them look and say, oh, look at that little piece of sea glass there, or that rock, or that extra element that just draws you in to look a bit closer. And then the final thing that I like to do is I need to add my inukshuk. If you've watched my videos before, you know that I put an inukshuk in every piece. And a lot of times I work the inukshuk into the design. Sometimes it's a major part of the design. Sometimes it's a little inukshuk hidden somewhere in the piece. And in this case, I planned at the very beginning to put my inukshuk on top of this brown bottle bottom that I put in the bottom of the piece. So I had to add my inukshuk at the bottom. So the inukshuk is really my signature, but the other thing I like to do as well is put a label on the back or sign my name to the back. Sometimes I'll just sign the back of the frame, and sometimes I'll put a label on. And what I usually do, and in this case what I've done, is I wrote the name of the piece, which is Bed of Flowers, and my name on a piece of sea pottery, and then I glued it to the back. And I glued it to the back right underneath this big brown piece so that you can't see it from the front. So now all that's left to do is to give it time to set, but it really takes a week maybe for the silicone to set really hard. So I'll often find if you wait for a week or two, all of the sea glass or all of the silicone that's still kind of white will have dried clear, and when it's dried clear, you know that it's really well set. And so that just takes a little bit of time. And then the last thing to do is to hang it. And in this case, I haven't planned the hanging yet because I'm not sure where this one's going to hang. So once you know where it's going to hang, you can decide if you're going to put some hooks on the top and hang it from the top of a window, the inside of a window casing, if you're going to hang it on a wall. If you're going to hang it in a window, you can attach some double-sided Velcro to the back. You have to attach quite a bit to carry the weight. But for this piece, because I don't know where it's going to hang yet, I'm not going to plan the hanging just yet. But if you have any questions about hanging, or you have a piece finished and you have any concerns about how to hang it, if you want some suggestions, then I can give them to you. And I'll probably do a future video just on hanging, because there's quite a few different options you can use there. So I'm just going to give you a bit of a close-up on some of the finishing details for this sea glass mosaic. So here's my finished piece, and if I zoom in here closely, you'll see here I've got all the white filled in. You can see some of the white still has the silicone is showing fairly clearly. And you can see at the bottom here I put my nukshuk in and added a few stones there too for interest. And at the bottom of this pane, I added a little flower pot and a few stones for flowers. And then all the way to the top with my flowers in that pane. And you can see here that I have some pattern in the white, but some of it's kind of random. I do tend to like to do patterns where the lines kind of flow. There, the bottom there, I didn't add anything at the bottom of that pane. Didn't want it to get too cluttered. And you can see on this little brown kick up at the bottom, I added a piece of sea glass and a couple of tiny shells, just for interest. Something to draw you in and make you look closer. And there's that pane. So you can see by the end there's a fair amount of detail. And I really like the brown and the green coming up from the bottom. And when you step back, you really get quite a mosaic effect with everything flowing together. So here's the back of the mosaic, and you can see that a lot of the silicone has already dried clear, especially on the green and the brown because it's been done for longer. But there's still some drying that needs to take place with some of the white, or some of the silicone behind the white sea glass. To me, it's really important that your sea glass mosaic looks good from the back, because a lot of my mosaics hang in a window, and when people are looking at your house from the outside, you want your mosaic to look good there as well. And I just wanted to point out to you a few things. You can see, because I put the brown silicone along where the crack in the glass was, if you look closely you can see the crack, but you don't really notice it from the front. And I do have it reinforced with silicone so that it will still be strong and it shouldn't break. And you can see down here in the bottom, I put my label, Bed of Flowers, Jackie Trimper. And as I mentioned when I was showing you the finishing of this frame, I decided to leave the back of the frame brown. And now that it's finished, I'm really happy that I left it brown. And it looks a little rustic. That's the way it was when I found the frame. So that's my sea glass mosaic flower bed. So thanks for joining me, and hopefully you've joined me for the series of 5 videos, which has showed the entire completion, start to finish, on this piece. If you want even more details on completing a sea glass mosaic, you can check out my book. It's Windows to the Past, Creating Sea Glass Mosaic Art. I have even more details and more pictures of finished pieces in my book. And I really hope this has been inspiring for you and it's helpful for you in creating your own pieces of art. So until next time, this is Jackie, and happy sea glass hunting.